It's time for the April 2024 book roundup. I read so many good ones. Like, this was such a better month than last month, I feel. I've got some really great titles for you and one that a lot of you are probably waiting on a review for. So let's jump right into the review. Okay, I got my coffee, I have my stack of books, I have my reviews on my blog so I can check my notes. So the ARC that I signed up for first finally arrived, and an ARC, an ARC, is an advanced reader copy that the publisher or the author sends to certain people who sign up or who want to review the book. And I signed up for this book because I loved the first two. I know you guys are going to recognize it because I raved about this last summer into fall. Okay, Gabrielle Meyer's The Timeless series, book number 3. I'm jumping right into the review here because you don't know how excited I was when this showed up on my doorstep. I pretty much ripped right into it, and I read half the book, I think, in one day. And then the other half I finished because it was just so good. This is probably going to be in the top 3 to 5 books of the entire year. I can already tell. This has been my favorite book of the year so far. If you haven't read the first 2 books, don't read this one yet. It's not going to make sense. You need to read the first 2 books. Now, like, if you really just want to read this one, you can. But it's not going to make it... It's like one piece of this whole collective puzzle, and you really need to read the first 2 books. Okay, so the Timeless series, in a nutshell, is about people who are what they call time crossers. These are Christian books. Also, keep in mind, I read heavily Christian everything, so there's not many secular titles that I read unless it's to review something for your kids. So this one, we have 2 time crossers and they're twin sisters, and we hear from both of them. And when I say time crossers, that basically means that they live in 2 different time periods at the same time. So during the day, they're in one life, and when they go to sleep in that life, they wake up in the next time period. So the 2 time periods we are working on in this book is 1692 in Salem, Massachusetts, and 1912 in New York City. Some of these time periods in the entire series have to do with certain events. So this big event that this one revolves around is the Salem witch trials. If that makes you a little bit nervous, I understand. I know that it can be a very heavy topic for some, and I did read that some reviewers struggled because it was the Salem witch trials. I did not. I found it very interesting to have kind of like a first-person point of view going on, and actually we get 2 people's points of view. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really great novel, and Gabriel Meyer has like family connections to Salem. So not only does she kind of bring that element in because it's so close, it's such a close subject to her, but there's also so much research that she did. She's practically a historian on the topic. So I almost felt like, I think I actually wrote it in my review, it felt like a living book. It almost felt like a Charlotte Mason history lesson, you know, like we're reading like a living book. So this, and her novels are heavily like that, to where like it's written from a historical time period with real historical events, with real historical people in them, but the main character is a fictional character. So in the 1912 timeline, one of the twins is a pilot, is one of the first female pilots. So we have so many elements going on in this thing. I mean, this book hooks you right from the very beginning. So highly, highly recommend. This book will be released very soon. It's going to be released this month. So be looking on my social media for the actual information about this book coming out. I know you guys are going to love it. Okay, so I read a lot of curriculum books and a lot of books that go with curriculum, and this is one of those books. This is one of the Generations books. It's called Captive. These are 3 first-person narratives, like diary type entries from people who were held captive, hence the name Captive. These are all during the 1700s, I believe. I read this like 4 or 5 weeks ago. It's a very heavy book. There is a very heavy caution warning on the back. I think it's for 14 and up. I'm going to read to you the description of the warning here so you know what to look for. Readers should be prepared for descriptions of violence, suffering, and severe deprivation undergone by these men and women of faith, attended by strong words of comfort and faith, recommended for readers 14 and up. So we have 3 different narratives here. They're like short stories. They're like 100 pages each, and very informative of kind of just the going on and the happenings with both sides of the story, really. I think like you kind of get like a more full picture of some of these things that are going on when you have an actual narrative. Heavy book, but I feel like it was really important to read as well as a Christian. Kind of along the lines of Fox's Book of Martyrs. I would definitely put it in like Fox's Book of Martyrs type of category. So after I read that one, I kind of needed more of a light read. So I read a couple of months ago The Sisters of Seaview, and I didn't realize that this was actually a series. And I picked up the second one. This one released, I think, last December. So this one's pretty new, by Julie Klassen. And this one is a continuation of the story set at Christmas time, and in winter it's like a Christmas winter type of thing, and it's about the real Duchess of Kent and the Duke and how they came to visit that particular area where they are at, why they came to visit, and the whole story kind of revolves around those real life people but with fictional characters. And really cool story. I really liked it. It's just like I described the last book. It's just like, it's such a good like rainy day cup of tea and a cozy blanket type of book. That's what this is. But I noticed with these books, I read them very slowly, and I think it's just because I'm enjoying the characters so much that like I force my brain to slow down because I'm just naturally a fast reader. So it's really hard for me to read slow. So, but I love those books. They're so comforting. And I know that there's another one coming out this year. I think, though, it's not till the end of the year, which is kind of a bummer because I'm really excited to see how this story progresses. And it's all about these sisters who live at Seaview in the 1800s, in the late 1800s, and they turned their house into kind of like a boarding house, and it's all these people who come and visit, and this time it is the royal people who are with the Duke and the Duchess, and how they're all staying at Seaview and just like the adventures that they all have together. No content warnings with that. That would be fine for teen girls. I think the only thing in there is like one kiss. I think that's it. There's no language or anything like that. Yeah, I double checked in my review. There's no language or anything that you need to worry about. Those are really good books. Okay, so my next book was a Kindle book. It's my new Kindle that I got for Christmas. I read Jaimie Jo Wright's new book, and I think I devoured it within like 36 hours. So her new one is Night Falls on Predicament Avenue. Oh my goodness. Other than The Souls of Lost Lake, that is my favorite Jaimie Jo Wright book. I loved it. It is about a girl who has severe panic attacks and anxiety. It's kind of like another dual timeline type of thing. She always does dual timelines, and I love that. I never read a dual timeline until I read Souls of Lost Lake, and I thought it was so interesting. I loved it. The chapters are short. Jaimie Jo Wright, if you are not familiar with her, writes spooky Christian stories, but the spooky things like the ghosts and things like that usually always end up becoming something irrational. So, you know, before anybody yells at me that I'm reading ghost stories, because I know there are people who would yell at me, it's not like a horror type book. It's kind of like bump in the night type stuff, but I'm the type of person who likes suspense and mysteries and things like that. So her books are just my absolute favorite. Jaimie Jo Wright is one of those auto buys for me, meaning that anytime she drops something new, I just automatically buy it. I don't even read the back cover. So I loved this book. As far as warnings, there is, you know, there's talk of murder because the book revolves around 2 different murders in the same house on Predicament Avenue, and they are trying to solve these murders. So there is talk about murder and things like that, so just be aware of content issues there. And the main character in the present timeline has a lot of anxiety and panic attacks due to her sister's death. So just something to be aware of. After I read that, I went back to the Holly series. Now, I haven't read the Holly series since last year. Those books can be a little bit heavy. I think that's the right word for it. Definitely heavy. Now, I say that because our main character, Holly, has been stalked, kidnapped, and almost killed by her foster brother. And she has been on the run for him for like a decade. I'm reading a spin-off. So the next book in the series was actually a spin-off from the Holly series. It was a different point of view. So we are in the point of view of the detective who is now like her dad, who kind of saved her from her foster brother. And she lives with him, and they have a really strong father-daughter relationship. And it's really nice in this book to really see that relationship really develop between the 2 of them. These type of books, you know, they really speak to me, I guess you could say. I really like these books. So, but the content can be really heavy with these books. So if you don't like books that talk about murder, assault, I'm gonna just leave it there with that. Go to my reviews if you want to know more about that. And definitely read the back of the books, please. Those type of books might not be your cup of tea if you don't like stories like that. But in the books that the first book that I read, because I read like 3 very, very quickly, like back to back in the Holly series again. I read Injustice for All, and she's calling it the Seeking Justice book collection, and that's the first one in the Seeking Justice. So it's from Detective Marks's point of view, and he's got a serial killer on his hands that he has to capture. So this one was really cool. I really like Detective Marks's point of view. It was really nice hearing from him. Not that I don't like Holly, but I really, really enjoyed Detective Marks's point of view. I actually kind of liked it better than Holly's point of view. I thought it was really neat. So yeah, I really liked that one. So I gave that one a 5 out of 5 because, and that's probably the first one out of the entire Holly series that I gave a 5 out of 5 stars. So really, really liked it. After I read that one, I read another one in the Holly series. I read 2 of them actually. I just finished the other one yesterday afternoon. I'm going to leave those for my May review because I didn't get them up on my blog in time for this video. So I'm going to write the reviews for those today, and they will be on my May blog review. Now, those books I'm reading all on my Kindle because CC Warren's, the author, puts a lot of them on Kindle Unlimited, which I'm so thankful that she does that because I can read them for free. They are included in my subscription to Kindle Unlimited. That's how I afford my book addiction. So Kindle Unlimited is a good and a bad thing at the same time for me because that's all I do is read sometimes. But it helps because it really helped me break my social media addiction and my phone addiction. So I really think that it's been more of a good thing than a bad thing in my life. So love that, and I love that authors sometimes put new books on Kindle Unlimited, so I thought that was great. And then my husband, to make it even worse, gave me a new Kindle for Christmas. So I love my new Kindle. This one is awesome. I got one of the new Paperwhites. Those things are great. Okay, so that's my April roundup. Again, I have a Goodreads account. I will try to remember to leave the information down below so you can follow me on Goodreads. You can see like in real time like what I'm reading, and I try to update it like every time I read a good chunk of a book. I try to update it. So I do update that probably 3 to 5 times a week. I try to get better at it, but all right, that's all I got for today. I hope you all have a great rest of your day and happy homeschooling.